Welcome back. In my opinion, you're about to watch and learn one of the methods ordinary people with just a limited amount of money use to create wealth. This doesn't take a lot of money, but you can create wealth and you can do it in a short period of time. Now, I'm talking about owner financing. This lesson is all about how to set up owner financing, and I'll show you an example before I finish the lesson. Now, many of my student investors use this process, use this strategy to resell tax defaulted properties. Now, why do they use this method? It accelerates the sale of the property, number one, and it opens up a whole new market, number two. So one example of a student I have has purchased 60 properties using a credit card, and then he used this strategy to sell all of those properties. Just imagine someone accepting checks from 60 different properties. That makes sense. However, that's a lot of money coming in, a lot of money. The student gets wealthy very quickly that way. So let's learn a little bit about this. It's not a nickel and dime business. It's one where you can make lots of money and you can make it relatively quickly. Now, buying the properties is the key. If you can buy at 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, then you can sell for 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar. You're going to see that you can make a lot of money, not only on the margin I just mentioned, but you can also make a lot of money on installment sales. Okay, now, our particular student that I'm thinking about right now who purchased 60 properties, he did all that with credit cards. Now, every county doesn't use credit cards, and every state doesn't use credit cards. So you have to know the rules, but some of the states use credit cards, so you can actually buy the property with just a credit card. Now, you can sell it any way you want. We recommend that you think about using installment sales or owner-seller financing. All right, now the biggest advantage you always have with tax defaulted properties is that you're going to be able to buy the property for basically real close to back taxes, and there won't be any mortgage on the property, and there won't be any deed of trust on the property. So these properties have gone to tax default, and the governments don't like that. If the property owners don't pay the tax, the local government is going to do something about it right away. So it all starts with the legislature of the state. They make the rules, they put them into statutes, and the statutes simply say, if you don't pay taxes, we're going to confiscate your property. So the process, it starts with the legislature, then the Board of Supervisors, the county commissioners will have the treasurer not only levy tax, they'll have the treasurer try to collect the tax. If they can't collect the tax, they're going to confiscate their property, seize the property, and sell it at auction. All right, this is happening every day across America in over 3,000 counties, and it's going to happen every single year from now on. Why? Because thousands of properties every year, by that I mean thousands of properties every year, will go to tax auction. All right, once they've collected the taxes, well, once the county gets the money, they're happy. They want that money to run the government, okay? They have lots of bills to pay. So what they're going to do is they're going to levy the tax. They're going to try to collect the tax. If they can't do it, they're going to seize that property, and they're going to sell it at a tax defaulted auction. So what am I talking about today? This episode is all about how to set up owner-seller financing. All right, now the county, if they don't collect the tax, they're seizing the property. They don't want the property. Why don't they want the property? They already own all the parks. They own all the schools. They own all the office buildings. They don't want any more property. They want revenue to be on the tax roll. So all properties need to be on the tax roll as far as the county is concerned. All right, now, what does the county do with all this money that's coming in? Well, they've got a lot to do with that money. First of all, they have to pay the police department, pay the fire department, pay for the schools, pay for the school teachers. You're getting the idea. They have a lot of bills to pay. So if they can't pay all those bills, including the county employees, it's going to be a problem of the county going bankrupt. So they really do enforce property taxes. Once they've levied the tax, well, those taxes have to be paid. If they're not, a seizure will take place. So they'll issue a default notice many times, and if the people don't respond, they just seize the property, and they basically push the people out with an eviction. They move them out of the property, and then they sell the property to the highest bidder. Anybody can be the highest bidder. Now, savvy investors go to these auctions. Why? Because the properties are sold 60, 70, and 80% below the tax assessed value. Now, if you can buy for 60, 70, or 80% discount, you know there's going to be some room, some margin between the price you purchased and what you could resell it for. Now, reselling it is the challenge. Anybody can buy a property. selling one takes a little bit of a genius. So in this episode, I'm answering the question, owner financing, how to set it up. Well, you could do the same thing with a boat. You could do the same thing with your car. You could do the same thing with anything that you want to sell. You could sell it with a contract. All right, so what we do is we use a contract of sale or a contract for deed. Okay, now most people are under the impression that they can't finance their own property, they can't buy or sell their own property. Yes, you can do all of that in America today. You can buy your own property anytime you want at an auction. You can sell it to anybody you want to sell it to. If you're willing to accept installment sales, you're going to be able to do quite well, because now you can not only make the profit on the property, you can also make a profit on the financing. All right, so remember, it's legal, it's ethical. Anybody can do this that wants to do this. Now, many title companies have the documentation to do this. Will they give it to you? Maybe some of them will, just to get the business, but for a very small fee, the title company can provide you with all the documentation that you need for installment sales or to transfer the title. And it doesn't matter whether you're buying a property, selling a property, title companies have all of that documentation, so you can take advantage of that. Now, can you use a local attorney? Of course you can. There's probably going to be a big difference between using the title company and using a local attorney. All right, so sellers want to take action. When they buy these properties, they don't buy them to hold them. These are slightly used and abused properties in many cases. They want to sell them and sell them quickly. So they advertise, and they're assertive about their advertising. So I won't go through that right now, because we're really talking about how to set up owner-seller financing. That simple documentation installment sale. The seller will make the sale happen quicker. In other words, accelerate the sale if they will accept installment payments. Everybody likes to buy on installments. So you get a small down payment and then accelerate the sale by taking installments. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that you don't have to go to a bank. You know, the bank is going to have a loan officer approve your sale. What if you have a low FICO score? Well, you're probably not going to get approved. All of that's going to take 2 weeks to a month. All right, you don't have to go get an appraisal. That can take another 2 weeks. All right, you don't have to do a home inspection. The seller can just pass over all that and just write an installment contract. All right, so you're kind of getting the idea. You can make all this happen. Now, how did you get this property? You bought this property more than likely at a tax defaulted auction. You paid 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar. All right, now, why don't you try, if you pay 20 cents, why don't you sell it for 50 cents on the dollar and do it quickly? All right, you're going to get a lot of bids on the property because you're going to be under the competition. Now, if you'll put installment sale in place, that's going to accelerate it even more. So what are we suggesting? I'm suggesting owner-seller financing. So let's take a look at that as a math problem, and we'll do it right now. So here's my example. So first of all, let's just say that the property is worth $100,000. However, you purchase it low, so you're willing to sell it low. So let's sell it a discount selling price of $65,000. Now, you know that's going to get some activity because it's way below the tax assessed value. So you want a down payment. So get a $5,000 down payment. All right, what else do you want? You want to create seller financing. That documentation can be done very easily with the help of a title company or an attorney. All right, so you're going to provide $60,000 in financing, and let's say you're going to do that and you want to collect $500 a month. Well, it's going to take quite a while for them to pay you, so I'd give them a term of 10 years. So now let's figure this out. So the first year, monthly payments are $500, $6,000 for the first year. For 10 years, it's $60,000. Well, that's pretty darn good. All right. Now add back in your $5,000, and you totally receive was $65,000. And how much did you buy the property for? Well, if you bought the property for a low price and you only spent $30,000, is that pretty good? Not bad profit margin. And you could do that as many times as you want. Now, you don't have to sell it for $500. You could have sold it for $750 or $900. I just used the example so anybody can do that. So anybody can use owner-seller financing, and you ought to learn how to do it now. But I want to give you two cautions before you even go to the auction. If you're going to the auction, here's what you need to know. You need to know that you have to have boots on the ground, that you looked at that property. Why should you look at it? I don't know if there was a windstorm. I don't know if there was a fire. I have no idea what took place. And you want to make sure whatever you buy, you're going to get. So when you buy at an auction, you get property as is, keeping in mind the mortgage has been wiped out. Okay, second big caution. You need to know what your selling strategy is going to be, before you buy. In other words, what's your exit? What are you going to sell the property for? Now that'll give you a maximum to bid so that you'll know you'll only bid up to a certain level because you want margin for profit. So you always want the margin for profit. So my name is Ted Thomas. Right below me, there's a free gift for you. I'll see you on the next video.